Welcome to Burning Daylight Sports with Matt McKinley, Eric Winkler, and Jake Rehnquist. Join us every Tuesday for betting lines, hot takes, and a whole lot of fun.
Oh, welcome back, Burning Daylight Sports. We're down to the last football game. And as much as I was really enjoying the end of the season, I really don't hate that the Eagles were there. I was rooting for the Lions, but they were kind of running on fumes, man. They had so many people injured.
On fumes in November.
I know. I thought they were done when they lost Hutchinson because that guy's such a game wrecker. And they seemed to like not even miss a beat. And then people just kept going down, and it was just like the next guy up, next guy up, next guy up. And then
eventually they ran out of people.
Yeah.
Same way the Packers did.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting. The NFC North really, they had a very strong momentum, but it was like the wheels were falling off.
Yeah.
You go so far without wheels.
It was, and then the AFC West was like, the steering wheel was leading the whole way, and it was a tricycle. But the steer tire was just fine in the Chiefs, and the Broncos and the Chargers, the wheels were falling off as the season ended, and
Well, the Broncos were riding a bicycle and a motorcycle race.
Yeah.
And somehow they managed to get through. I don't know. Maybe no. They were like Herbie fully loaded. They were a Volkswagen Bug in an F1 race, and they podiumed. They weren't supposed to podium, or they finished.
You know what? Hold that thought. I think the better format for this week is let's cover the Super Bowl game because it looks pretty scripted for the Chiefs three-peat. But then let's recap the season because the rest of the season's so much more interesting to me than this game. So anyway, we got Chiefs Eagles, and the AFC Championship. I almost called it, to a T. They never cover. It's always that's always the story with Josh Allen and Pat Mahomes. Josh Allen is he just never ends up with the ball at the end of the game. He does what he has to, except bleed the clock completely dry. And granted, he gets about as close as you possibly can, and still somehow his defense loses it for him. And I don't know, what are you gonna do? So, and then of course you're also playing the refs. So,
although I will say, I am a ardent Josh Allen fan, and I hate Patrick Mahomes and the rest of his devil magic Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
This year, Josh Allen got more favorable calls that maybe should have gone the other way than Patrick Mahomes did.
It's true.
Which I thought was a very interesting statistic, that Josh Allen was the Mahomes of this season. And that's not, saying that Mahomes wasn't, getting favorable calls. He definitely did. And they got lucky multiple times. But Mahomes had a shitty season by most standards outside of the record, which was mostly their defense. They didn't do shit.
They got a great defense, though.
Like people were talking, only Mahomes could do that. This season, a lot of that narrative switched to, only Josh Allen can do that, and then it's somebody else doing it. Because Patrick Mahomes looked relatively pedestrian. He and CJ Stroud had similar season arcs, just with slightly different backup horses.
Yeah, I think so. And then I don't know, like Jalen Hurts was fairly pedestrian too, but he stepped up when he had to. And then they've got probably the best offensive line in football and a just absolute monster in the backfield. And I don't know, it's if there is no like NFL fuckery that goes on with like putting your thumb on the scale one way or the other, it should be a good game. As much as I can't stand the Chiefs, diehard Bronco fan, I respect Patrick Mahomes. That dude's the best I've ever seen play quarterback.
I disagree. Have you ever heard of a man called Timothy Tebow?
Tim Tebow is a beast.
Tim Tebow is the best.
He's the best college quarterback I've ever seen.
Best college quarterback of all time, and that's saying a lot. That's including Mahomes. That's including.
Well, Mahomes was fairly pedestrian in college too, though.
Well, yeah, Mahomes had Mike Leach at the helm.
Was he there for Leach? I thought he was there for Kingsbury.
Kingsbury. He was right after Leach went to Wazoo. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It was Cliff Kingsbury.
He was still at Texas Tech, which is
no slouch either.
No, he's not. But
740 yards, 770 yards in a game. I mean, you want to talk about one of the greatest college quarterbacks? So is Mahomes. He just didn't have the greatest team behind him.
Joe Burrow, on the other hand, did.
Yes,
and I would say that one season, he's the greatest college quarterback of all time.
I mean, he had the greatest college quarterback season of all time.
So,
and I think Tebow takes it. I think it goes. We've got Tebow, and Burrow, and then Mahomes. I love the hypothetical of what if. Mahomes,
you got to throw Vince Young in there somewhere.
Vince Young at Texas was phenomenal.
He's got to be a top 5 college quarterback of all time.
I would agree with that. I would agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I do wonder, what if Patrick Mahomes played in the SEC? What if Patrick Mahomes played for Texas?
I don't know if he'd be good. I think he benefited a lot from playing at a shitty school the same way Josh Allen did. He took his lump. Hey, I'm not saying that as a Wyoming hater. I like CSU's a shitty school too, so as far as football goes. But
I would take offense to you calling my 3-9 Wyoming Cowboys a shitty school.
We're on the same level here, buddy, because it very easily CSU could be in that same position next year. Like 2 years ago, we were. So like I'm not saying it to put down Wyoming. We're on the same level. Shit schools.
No, and I don't know if I agree with that sentiment completely. I think Wyoming is an underrated school in terms of Craig Bohl's ability to develop decent quarterbacks and work with that system. I do wonder if Josh Allen would have been better suited somewhere else. Josh Allen probably would have been better suited at a school like Texas Tech. Because he and Mahomes have very similar play styles. But if you look at the film from like the last 5 years of Wyoming quarterbacks, excluding this year because Jay Sawvell sucks, but with Craig Bohl as the head coach of Wyoming quarterbacks, they are all the same. They are Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen style quarterbacks. Actually closer to Lamar and Josh Allen. Just simply because of the size. They are guys who have the arm strength to heave it down the field and also the ability to run somebody over.
Mm-hmm.
And so Josh Allen succeeded, but he's been so much his play style has evolved.
Right.
And it makes me wonder, he had the talent. They knew he had the talent. So what if he was in a place that he could have developed faster?
Well,
do you think that would have,
nobody took the chance on him though. That was the thing.
No. Wyoming did. I think he
I think he benefited from it. If you look particularly like Alabama quarterbacks, like you can point to Hurts and Tua, but like
outside of them, everybody's a system quarterback, and if you can't focus,
it wasn't the quarterback that wanted it at Alabama. It was the system and the defense primarily. I mean, or they also had like insane playmakers. But look at Ohio State quarterbacks.
You needed someone who could make the throws because the receivers were going to make the easy routes. They were going to make the throws easy. You just need someone to hit that, and you didn't need to draft. You didn't need to recruit. The Joe Burrows or the Patrick Mahomes, or you needed a dollar store Tom Brady or Peyton Manning, someone who could know where his guys were supposed to be and hit them. Throw with anticipation is all you had to do.
Right. Well, it's the same thing with Ohio State quarterbacks. They tend to struggle in the NFL because they don't have the all-star team anymore. I mean, everybody has an all-star team.
I mean, although even including CJ Stroud of the second season once the teams got tape on him. But Justin Fields, is an excellent example of that. I mean, he left Georgia because he couldn't cut it there.
Yeah.
And then also, I don't know. He went to high school with one of my best friends in Buckhead, Georgia, or Marietta, Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. It's like going to Boulder and growing up in Westminster. Like,
Yeah.
why are you staying at home? If
Yeah.
you're good enough to go play somewhere else, leave. But again, it's like these SEC quarterbacks don't tend to succeed unless they're at a second
Like a Vanderbilt.
tier, unless you're at the A tier instead of the A plus.
Mm-hmm.
LSU's not an A plus tier school. If they were,
they're an A. I wouldn't say A plus.
no, they're an
Depends
A,
on the
they're an
year.
A school. I'd say they're an A. You've got Alabama and Georgia at A plus. You used to have Florida up there too, but
Right.
not since not for a while.
Yeah, you've got like Alabama, Georgia, and then there's like
Occasionally you have teams like Tennessee, like they've been the past couple of years. I'd say
I'd
right
put
now.
LSU above Tennessee though.
So if we were to make a ranking list, my list goes Alabama. Now this does now include Texas and Oklahoma. So it goes Alabama, Texas, Georgia, LSU, Ole Miss, Tennessee, Mizzou. And Ole Miss, Tennessee, and Mizzou are all kind of they're very much the same. And that statement, I mean, you've got coaches who can hang. Josh Heupel, Drinkwitz, and Kiffin. They've really made a statement that the SEC is deep.
Yeah,
and like really deep. But
yeah, they're LSU's. I wouldn't say they're A plus.
not
but
right
they're
now.
an A. They're an
They
A.
can be an A plus, but
That year on years they're an A plus, but overall they're like a solid A.
I give them like a 95, 96 rating.
Right. If say right now I'd put Georgia as the strongest in the SEC because Bama's kind of got a little shakeup going. But
I can agree with you there. I just think
Bama's got deep pockets. They'll figure that shit out.
I think if we're looking at it for more than just this one season, Alabama went from 100 to a 99.
Yeah.
Georgia stayed at a 99.
Right. So yeah, I mean it's 1A, 1B there. Like
yeah, the same.
Flip a coin on
the discussion between who's the greatest quarterback, but we're getting off track.
Right, but
Mahomes made his deal with the devil in Lubbock, and now he's making more deals in Kansas City.
How does that make you feel that he's a part owner of the Royals, though?
Is he?
Yeah.
Oh man, that sucks. It's like now I can't root for my cousin. I gotta burn all my stuff because it's like never Trumpers. I'm a never Mahomeser.
I'm gonna fact check that for
sure. But I know Brady is a minority owner of the Raiders. I'm trying to think who else made moves. Remember the guy who owns the Commanders owns the 76ers, which is interesting.
Yeah, and then you get the Cronkies that own the Nuggets and the Rams, and I think
that's right. The Nuggets, they're owned by the same folks as the Rams.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny because the Sixers, every other team in Philly, was like, congratulations to the Eagles for making it to the Super Bowl, represent our city. And the 76ers didn't because the Eagles had to beat the Commanders to get there. So it's kind of like, I guess, represent our city, but you just fucked our owner over.
Let's see. So fucking ads. In 2020, John Sherman is the majority owner of the team. The group he led by the Royals included many minority owners in the area. And in 2020, fresh off his first Super Bowl title, Mahomes agreed to buy a stake in Royals ownership, becoming the youngest part owner in sports history at 24 years old.
Golly. I'll be right back. I gotta grab a charger for my laptop.
Okay. Country boy Sean, I see you in the comments there. I'm not a good multitasker like that. But yeah, Georgia did beat the shit out of Texas one of those games. I'm torn on the Super Bowl. I find it. Mahomes is now in Brady territory for me. Just like
how much you hate him, or how much
I hate him, and also how much I don't bet against him. Like
when
he had that run, even though I could not stand him, if he was there like 4th round in fantasy football draft, I'm taking him at quarterback.
Who's leaving Patrick Mahomes that open?
Well, no, Patrick Mahomes ain't ever going to drop that far. But like Brady would, like every now and then I'd look up, I was like, Brady's available in the 5th? Fuck yeah, I'll take Brady. And I hope he breaks his leg because I only got him in the 5th. But he's not going to, and he's going to put up points. So I didn't bet against Brady in the Super Bowl. I don't bet against Mahomes in big games because, yeah, he said he made his deal with the devil. But I'm rooting Eagles mostly because of Saquon Barkley. I like that guy a lot.
If the Eagles lose, it will be a defensive failure.
Yep.
But if they win, they will win soundly.
It's because they just dominate the trenches.
I think they have the offensive line to overwhelm the Chiefs. I think Saquon is that guy. I think that people forgot how good Saquon Barkley was
because he was trapped in the Meadowlands.
Yeah, he was in New York.
Yeah,
and people forget how dominant he was at Penn State. How dominant he still was at the Giants.
Oh, yeah.
He wasn't getting hurt because they played on the worst turf in the world.
And he had no offensive line.
You see it, like he's like Derrick Henry, right?
Yeah.
And it's so...
He's like a more explosive Le'Veon Bell.
Yes.
Because he's fucking...
He runs a lot more like Le'Veon Bell than he does Derrick Henry.
Yeah, because Henry's a bruiser.
Derrick Henry is a stronger, faster, meaner Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah.
And Saquon Barkley is a faster, quicker,
more explosive. Yeah, but he's got the same type of patience where all of his big runs, they're very rarely just like one cut and go. No, it's like he's got his hand on his blockers the entire time, just looking, waiting, then slightest of crease and just boom, he's gone. Sean, what flavor native are you? We got people in the comments now, so it's the first time ever for us. So where am I
supposed to be looking for this?
I can put them up on screen. So
yeah, I love the Chiefs because I'm Native American. Okay, well, I'm Native too, and I hate the Chiefs.
I hate the Chiefs just because it's so funny. Growing up, the Chiefs were like we hated the Raiders more because just the Raiders were coming off like that bad boy era in the 80s.
Well, the bad boy era carried over. They were like the less successful version of the Ravens.
Yeah.
They said Ricky instead of Ray Rice, they had Richie Incognito.
Yeah.
Just calling people slurs and beating the shit out of people.
I kind of love Richie Incognito. Not that I think he's a good person or anything like that.
He was entertaining. It was mid 2000s, like AFC West was like the WWE.
Yeah. Yeah. And then
these characters.
He was like offensive Bill Romanowski.
Yeah. A more offensive Bill Romanowski.
Yeah. I don't know if he was more offensive, but he was definitely on the offensive side of the ball. But I think I don't know. Bill Romanowski was pretty rough too. Neither one of them were as bad as Lyle Alzado or Vontaze Burfict, though.
Vontaze Burfict. I don't know if you can point to another single person in NFL history who altered the course of the NFL more than Vontaze Burfict did.
Oh man,
I mean,
he
specifically-
made Antonio Brown hilarious, though.
Yes, and because of that is why we have people wearing Guardian caps in playoff games, which don't make a significant enough difference to warrant being worn in the first place. It's the issue with the concussion, real quick, is not that like getting hit. It's not the impact. It's what the impact does to your brain.
Yeah, it's the rattling.
The question is, you're still going to have that wave. You're still going to have that brain matter fucking around. And so it doesn't do shit. As someone who's fallen out of a plane, been kicked by a horse in the head, stomped by a bull, I can tell you all head injuries are the fucking same. Wearing a little helmet ain't going to do shit for you.
Yeah.
Especially in football.
Right.
Maybe riding bulls. I didn't make it that far.
Yeah.
But,
anyway, let's get this this game line out of the way, and then we'll do a recap of the season. So it's Chiefs -1, essentially a pick'em game. Chiefs slight favorite, over under at 49. I think it's going to be under. I think it's going to be more of a defensive game. The Chiefs really have a good defense. And yeah, as much shit as I talk on the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes, that dude is legit the best I've ever seen play football. Like talent wise, decision making wise, he's kind of a dork. I can't stand him as a person, but strictly physical talent and like results, that he's legit. Jalen Hurts is kind of the factor, but if Saquon gets rolling like he has been, I mean, Jalen don't got to do a whole lot.
No, and I mean he has the most talented receiver core.
Yeah,
the Eagles really do. In terms of like in comparison to the Bills, the Eagles, even the Ravens, I would say, or the Chiefs, not the Eagles. The Eagles have that better. Just like they are that Alabama team that has some, quarterback who can just play the system because everything around him, as long as he does his job, everything around him is functioning at such a high level that, he's not having to make these insane plays.
Yeah.
Even without Jason Kelce, this offensive line is dominant. He has AJ Brown. He has, Saquon coming out of the backfield. He
Devonta Smith.
Yes, Smith. Like he
Goddard.
They got some. He is sitting with one of the most offensively talented, like one of the most talented offensive receiver cores, along with one of the best running backs ever in the history of the NFL, coming off one of the best seasons ever in the history of the NFL. This is the Eagles' game to lose, and I don't think people realize that. The Chiefs squeaked by, and it wasn't like they were playing great football.
No, almost every one of their wins was a single score game.
They are very. I would not trust the Eagles to win a game if it's one score. If the Eagles are winning by 14, 17 points coming into the fourth quarter, I'd take Eagles on that. But if they've got a one score lead, it's a Kansas City show right there. That is
it's going to be one up front. They're always one up front. Eagles. I was reading an article today. They were talking about the Eagles O-line, and on average, they're an inch taller and 26 pounds heavier than the Chiefs' offensive line. You get down in that goal-to-go situation, say it's on the one, you got the tush push with Jalen or you got Saquon. I mean, you can't make a bad decision right there.
You either get the ball to Saquon or you have Saquon push the ball in Jalen over.
Yeah, and those giant fucking legs of his. I think I don't think I'm gonna pick the Eagles to win straight up. I am going to take them in a teaser. I'm gonna bump that up to Eagles +7 and that'd be under 55. I'm gonna parlay that. So that'll pay out at one. If it hits, that pays out at minus 120. So getting close to even money on that. And if the Eagles lose, it's going to be a 1-score game. I think this is a field goal game either way. No matter who wins, it's a field goal game. I think it's going to be fairly low scoring. Two really good defenses, two really good offensive lines. I give the Eagles the clear edge offensive line. I give the Chiefs pretty solid edge defensive line. Linebacking core, Chiefs are pretty solid at the linebacker. Karlaftis is a fucking monster.
He's insane.
Chris Jones is an animal. The Eagles, though, they've got those Georgia boys on the interior defensive line. I mean, they're insanely good too. It's kind of a push for me on defense. I think maybe I'm not sure on the secondary side of things who's better there, but the Chiefs didn't give up a lot of points this year. The only game they gave up a lot of points was the last game of the season when they didn't play anybody. And they helped us into the playoffs to lose in the first round, but it's all right. It's all right. I wasn't disappointed when they got blown out in the first round either. I was just like, we got there. We got there. It's the first time since I've lived in Nevada that the Broncos have been in the playoffs, so I was happy with it. Yeah, my gut says Chiefs win, late field goal. I'm rooting Eagles, but I'm throwing it in a teaser. Eagles will cover 8 for sure, and under 55 I think is a pretty good bet as well. So that's my there's a whole bunch of prop bets and shit, on the how long is the national anthem going to be. The MVP odds are Mahomes plus 110, Saquon's plus 250, Hurts at plus 300, Kelsey's at plus 1500. It'll be Saquon or Mahomes. Just depends on who the winner of the game is. Offensively, I think is DeAndre Hopkins. He's with the Chiefs now, right? Is he healthy? Okay, so
that's the one thing. Patrick Mahomes now arguably has the best route runner. D-Hop doesn't have. I mean, we talked about it at the start of the season. Hopkins is not the same player that he once was, but he's smarter for it. Peyton, like Tom Brady, didn't have the same abilities as he did when he was younger, 40. But he was smart. He knew how to find a little spots. He knew how to make his skill set work. D-Hop is the same way. He is now the best slot wide receiver in the country, arguably, and is one of the most smart route runners that you're going to see. He has this insane route tree that Patrick Mahomes, now coupled with Travis Kelce, also having a great route tree, has two significant weapons to hit the ball to.
And Kelce tends to go off in the playoffs as well. So it's Eagles clear edge on the running backs. Chiefs clear edge on the quarterback. I'd give slight edge wide receivers to the Eagles. And then tight end is clearly edge to the Chiefs. So I mean it's pretty fucking evenly matched all the way around. So that being said, I just hope there's no fuckery. Like I hate when there's a questionable call at the end. You're just like, come on, guys, just get it right, please. Just get it right. Either if you're not sure, no call. Like a no call is better than a shitty call, I think. But either way, like I just hope it's a good Super Bowl, and I kind of hope the Chiefs lose because I'm tired of hearing about them. Not that I'm rooting too hard for the Eagles, but that being said, overall, it took a little bit for the NFL to get interesting this year. Like, it wasn't until like the last like month.
They waited until college football was done to get interesting.
Yeah, which college football was pretty fucking interesting all year.
It was I'd say the greatest college season of college football.
It was pretty good.
At least over 5 years. The best season so far of the 2020s.
Mm-hmm.
And up there with the 2019 season with LSU, Joe Burrow, and Tim Tebow in 2009 and 2008.
Yeah, it was a good season. I really enjoyed the NFL this year. I mean, in college football this year, I enjoyed the last month of the NFL season. Bo Nix was hilarious to follow this year. Like, he would go into half with negative yards and still throw for 300 somehow.
240 yards, no interceptions, mind you. Throwing for negative yards with no interceptions.
Yeah.
And then out throwing 240 with 3 touchdowns and no picks.
Yeah.
That's a perfect. He plays the opposite of perfect and then some. Half of football, and then comes out and plays a perfect half.
Yeah. There was 2 different games where he went into half with negative yards. Oh, he's asking if you rode Bronx, Eric.
I did. Yes.
Nice.
I rode all of them.
Hell yeah.
It's pretty fun until I broke my ribs. I went to when I was in the Army, the first day I got to my real unit at Fort Bragg, I went and found this rodeo, and I went and got on a bull. It had been like years at this point. I had ridden a bull since high school, and I get on this bull, and the first thing that I do in my new unit was get 2 ribs broken by this bull. I got whipped off and just stomped, and I had to lie to my command. No one could know because it was not allowed to go ride bulls. And so that put an end to my official rodeo rough stock career. It was
like when Big Ben went and what are those super fast crotch rockets, like the Italian ones?
Like a Ducati?
Ducati. Yeah. Didn't that what Big Ben wrecked and like fucked himself up? Yeah. Almost lost his entire contract because they're like, you were clearly not supposed to be doing that.
No. It's like I was allowed to jump out of airplanes, but I couldn't go ride a bull. I sustained more. I don't know. The broken ribs and like the 6 weeks of bruising. I don't know which was worse, the head injury or from the plane or the bull. But
yeah, getting fucked up by bulls. I mean, that's always a pretty good story, but it seems like that not many people have fallen out of a plane and survived. So that one takes the cake.
Yeah, it's a fun story. People like to ask like what I did before I joined the Army, and I tell them, they're like, "Oh, it makes sense. You're just mentally incapacitated."
Yeah, fair enough. What was biggest surprise of the NFL season this year for you?
Okay, the Broncos were probably up there.
I think so.
But quite honestly, it was the regression of CJ Stroud.
That was interesting.
And I expected somewhat of maybe not a step back, but a step in a different direction. You know, now they've got film on him. He's got to change a little bit of his playing style, his tells. He regressed significantly. And it wasn't just because he lost, his receiving core basically the first 5 weeks of the season. It was his choices.
Yeah.
The same reason that Sam Darnold kind of choked at the end of the season in the last 2 games it was not just, bad offensive line play, which played a role, but they had, both of them had previously overcome bad offensive line play.
Yeah.
And Darnold did it for an entire season this year. CJ Stroud did it last year, could not really do it this year, and yet they still made it to the playoffs and won a playoff game, which was more than impressive.
Well, in Darnold's defense, he got absolutely harassed by the Lions in that game. I mean, they straight butt fucked him.
But at the same time, he was making rookie level mistakes.
That's true.
He took 5 sacks that were I think rated unavoidable or barely you had to work some sort of magic to get out of them. And the rest, I think he took 8 or 9 sacks that game. The rest of them were 9. Yeah, he held the ball for 7 seconds and got completely blindsided because he was statuesque in the pocket. You look at Cam Ward at Miami, how he was playing. He could get away because with standing like a statue in the pocket because his offensive line was bullying everybody else.
Yeah,
you can't not move in the pocket. You can't have a pocket presence or not have a pocket presence when your offensive line is letting in more holes than a Wisconsin Swiss cheese.
Yeah. They he didn't do very well, but that was also because he was getting harassed all game. So yeah, you can give you. There was some sacks for sure that are on him, but yeah, there was a lot of them that were just not. It was it was an excellent game by the Lions and not a good game by the Vikings.
I mean, they already played them twice. I mean, they knew what to do. I do hope though, for Sam Darnold's sake, what I think might actually benefit him is going to a team that can't pay him so much.
Yeah.
Or doesn't pay him so much, and what happens is that he ends up getting some really solid weapons, or he stays with Minnesota, and since they're not wanting to pay him because he choked. Well, now they can afford to pay Justin Jefferson, but now they can afford to trade for, some more talent in the receiving room or in the offensive line, and they pay for that. And I think it's, you look at teams. Tom Brady perennially took pay cuts, sure that his surrounding cast, his supporting cast, could make it the distance.
And see, what I don't understand with these.
Awful. That was the best possible decision you can make as a quarterback, because the goal is not to get paid, and I think that's shifted.
Yeah,
in recent years is that we want to get paid, but the goal is to win Super Bowls. The goal is to have you could be the richest quarterback for 5 years. You don't make the Super Bowl 60 years from now. Who the fuck's going to know your name?
Yeah. Well, it's like Peyton Manning always did this.
Your 6 car dealerships in town.
Nobody. That was like the difference between Manning and Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers always took the huge deal, and they never had enough money for the supporting cast.
And he always managed to make himself look good. Aaron Rodgers, not to shit on James Harden, but James Harden did have a couple seasons, especially when he was with the Rockets, where he was just shooting from everywhere, and he was knocking them down. He was hitting all these threes, but his team wasn't winning because nobody else was keeping up. You can put 50 points down in a game, but if you're the only one who scores and the other team puts up 51, you're going to lose.
Right.
And that was kind of how it is with Rodgers. And I'm interested to see if it's going to kind of continue, because that's how it was with Favre too.
Yeah.
So I wonder if Love is going to take the money, and then over having a significant supporting cast.
See, and that the thing that doesn't make sense to me with these, especially nowadays, where that you could make so much money, you can make up the difference on endorsement deals and shit outside of your actual salary. Where it's just like, why wouldn't you be like, hey, what's the most you can pay me and still put together a winning roster? Because that's what I'll take.
Like if someone were to pay me $10 million, I mean, if I'm a Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes level talent, and you're saying, hey, we can offer you $10 million a year for 6 years, which I think the longer the contract is more friendly to the team and everything. You can offer stuff. But since we're not paying you as much as, say, whatever, we are going to be able to afford. We're going to bring in, Stephon Diggs. We're going to bring in Justin Jefferson. We're going to bring in an offensive line that's going to be able to support you in the way you play. We're going to bring in coaches that we need. Instead of saying, oh, we're going to pay you $440 million over the span of 4 years. That's $110 million a year.
Mm-hmm.
And, well, you got Kadarius Toney.
Yeah.
You got Rashee Rice.
Yeah.
And I think they learned their lesson. Last year, they scraped by in a different way.
Yeah.
But this year, they couldn't afford to have the big names. I mean, Xavier Worthy is on a rookie deal.
Yeah.
Travis Kelce isn't getting any younger.
No.
And so they scraped by.
Well,
they brought in good talent. They brought in old talent that they used to have. What's his face? Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
They brought him back to fill some gaps that were left. You have to find middle ground. Obviously, if you're one of the best in the country at what you do, you deserve to get paid. We saw that with Ezekiel Elliott. I hope we see that with Saquon Barkley.
Yeah.
I hope we see that with Derrick Henry.
Well, Saquon got paid, and now he's living up to it. So
yeah,
that's also a scary deal. Is like you pay somebody, and a lot of times they're like, all right, I got paid, I'm coasting now.
Ezekiel Elliott, Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah,
those are two phenomenal running backs who got paid and then completely dropped off the face of the earth.
Yep.
And so, like they were. The Chiefs are looking at it from this perspective. Oh, we have to make sure Mahomes never leaves. We want to maintain this dynasty, but you also have to afford the rest of the dynasty.
Yeah.
Your dynasty isn't built on Taylor Swift, Travis Kelce, and Patrick Mahomes. There's a whole team. There's 53 guys on that roster. 75. I don't know. I think it's 53.
Sean, you're 100% right. Correct.
Make the distance.
I'm going to put this. You'll like this.
No, Dak Prescott doesn't deserve the pay. He didn't have the accolades to back it up.
No, but also in Jerry's defense, who else was he going to go get?
Well, I don't think he should have. I just think that he should have paid Dak less.
I think so too.
They had the dream team in Dallas for a while. They had a strong O-line. They had an insane defensive line. They had Dak Prescott. They had Amari Cooper. They had Dez Bryant, and they had Ezekiel Elliott. They had the talent. The coaching is what held them back.
Yep.
And not just the coaching, but Dak Prescott hasn't proven that he can be that guy yet.
No, and then
that's what has hurt
Jerry
them.
Jones is like there for a while. He'd have a year or two where you're like, all right, well maybe Jerry knows what he's doing, and now you're just like, holy shit, that guy is.
Yeah. Well, the year that Dak got hurt with that ankle injury, that I think very well could have been their year. That could have been that was a year of missed opportunities. I mean, you had Cooper Rush come in and try and make a difference, but Cooper Rush is not Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott single-handedly made Mississippi State look like a functional football team.
Yeah.
And honestly,
he was late to his flight.
As well as Bulldogs breathe, which is not well.
But, the only reason he's not a Bronco is because he was late and missed his flight. And that's the only thing that kept us from making that same because John Elway would have fucked that up somehow. Like he would have signed him for way too much money.
Or we would have pushed him into a position where he didn't have the support. I mean, they already had the supporting cast because of Tony Romo.
Yeah.
Tony Romo was still there. Dak Prescott got to sit.
Yep.
He got to learn. We would have. That's the thing. I genuinely wonder if we hadn't gotten rid of Brock Osweiler, where we could have gone. Because Brock Osweiler got to sit and learn from Peyton Manning. We saw him have success with the Texans and then the Jags. Limited success, but more success than we were having. They went to the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so I think, we're finally in a position where we can have a rookie quarterback start and succeed. But we've been putting quarterbacks in terrible positions and expecting stuff from them they were not able to produce in college. I'm sorry, Paxton Lynch went to fucking Memphis.
Yeah.
Was Memphis a top 25 team? Maybe. They were 23 his senior year or whenever he went to the draft. They were a 9-3 team that year. 10-3 if you count the bowl victory.
And he lit it up.
Memphis. Memphis is in the AAC. Their competition is Tulane, and Tulane in the late 2000s or 2010s was a crap team. They pulled some magic out of some sort of voodoo for the past 5 years, where they've been a perennial winning team in the AAC
but the AAC is like the
Memphis was not. Where did we see that? Drew Lock took a struggling Mizzou team to an 8-4 record and deserved a first round draft pick. Why? Why did Drew? Because he could dance? Because he rapped on the sideline? No, he didn't have the talent to be a first round pick, and he didn't have the ability to be a successful first round pick starting his rookie year.
Yeah,
we made repeated terrible decisions at quarterback after Peyton Manning retired. We haven't. We had to wait almost 10 years to hit on the draft.
Well,
and that was because Bo Nix was in college for 4 or 5 years and was one of the most successful and in long, like in terms of duration, starters in college football.
Yeah,
started from freshman year all the way to senior year at Oregon, and people think he sucked at Auburn. No, he was good at Auburn. Auburn sucks.
Yeah.
Auburn sucks, and he managed to get Auburn to 2 straight bowl games. But you want to talk about, we missed on Dak. We would have ruined Dak. Dak Prescott's still a top 15 quarterback in the league. I'm not saying he's top 10.
Well, we would have ruined it, but we'd have been in that same position.
We would have ruined Josh Allen. Josh Allen needed a system that supported him, and they built that around him. We would have just been like, you suck. Let's just ship
John Elway was such a bad decision for the Broncos when he came back. I mean, like, he was obviously the right decision playing football for him. But, yeah, like he did good bringing Peyton Manning. But then he lived off of those laurels for far, far, far too long.
I think John Elway's strength as a GM was not at the quarterback position, which is interesting, but at he built a good line. He knew what defenses hurt him, so he built a defense that would hurt a quarterback like him, which at the time was most of the rest of the NFL.
Right.
And so
he also hired Wade Phillips, who is arguably arguably the greatest defensive
head coach, and Gary Kubiak, who is arguably one of the greatest offensive-minded head coaches, and balanced head coaches at that. He made good choices everywhere but the quarterback position.
And the draft. His drafts were terrible.
We missed on the draft, but we hit on our trades. We hit on our free agency signings. We hit on most of our coaching choices.
He wasn't good at scouting talent. He was good at getting proven talent.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
Yeah, but anyways, he was not a he should have been the schmoozer, like that the ownership been like, hey, we need to go get this guy, and we need you to go play big swinging dick and get him over here. But stay away from the draft, buddy. You suck. But anyway, he almost single-handedly ruined his legacy in Denver. Like, there's a lot of old school Bronco fans. You say John Elway, and they're just like, my God, and just because. It's been long enough since he played that it just
a lot of new school. I mean, I grew up on John Elway's laurels.
Yeah.
And then he came back and he was the general manager. We had Peyton Manning. And then as I'm getting, as I'm growing up, we start being the worst team in football. It's disappointing. Speaking of disappointing, who was your biggest disappointment?
Bengals. Consistently Bengals, because they're just squandering Joe Burrow. That
He had
dude.
an MVP season. He had an MVP season, and they missed it. I mean,
They couldn't even make the playoffs because
they didn't even make the playoffs. And a part of it is injuries. A part of it is not having enough depth.
Right.
And that's a front office issue. That's
Right.
a coaching issue. That's not a player's issue. The players literally played their heart out. They were the reason they had a chance. They didn't have the right people in place to support that.
I know, and it's disappointing because Joe Burrow is like he's in that same category as Mahomes without
and Josh Allen. They are the 3 greatest quarterbacks I think in the NFL. We'll be right back.
I think that's 100% right. I'm just consistently disappointed at like not seeing it be like a 3-way race in the AFC between Allen, Mahomes, and Burrow it kind of is until the playoffs because the Bengals don't make it because they just don't have the guys because they're just a shitty organization and they're ruining one of the better quarterbacks we've seen in quite some time. There's a good crop of them right now, but he is an elite quarterback and just getting wasted. Jaden Daniels is another one that I thought he was going to be pretty goddamn good, but he way overperformed, and we'll see how next year goes for him. But that dude is pretty legit. It seems like first year wise, he'll had I don't know what kind of records he set. I didn't really stay up on that, but I know I had him on my fantasy football team, and he was lighting it up. The only time I had him and Bo Nix going down the stretch, and it was always a toss up of who to pick. And I usually, towards the end of the season, I just rolled with Jaden Daniels because he had that little like 2 or 3 week hitch where he, after he got hurt, where he was not quite himself, still put up good numbers. And then, once those ribs healed or whatever, I think it was the ribs that he had.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a
ribs or shoulder, something like it was something upper body.
It was ribs. I can't remember if it was a broken rib or if it was like
sprain or something, or
contusion,
something like that. But yeah, once those healed up, I mean, he was right back in form, and I mean, the guy looks really fucking good. We'll see what happens after they spend an off season of watching tape and scheming for him next season. But I mean, it was cool. They made it to the NFC Championship. Somebody there was another group text us in there asking about the Redskins and then what they were or the Commanders, Washington, whatever.
I think if you were to say Redskins, I don't think anybody would be upset.
No, I think it sounds like that. I know the logo's coming back, but it sounds like the name might be coming back too. But that being said, like he's they were playing with borrowed money or on house money by the time they got to the NFC Championship. So they were
in a similar position as the Broncos, I would say.
Yeah, they just made it a little bit further.
Yeah,
they're playing with house money, and
it makes me wonder if the Broncos didn't come up against the Bills.
Buffalo, yeah. If they could have picked up one of those games earlier that we lost, yeah.
Or if we got to play the fucking Chargers, we would have had a chance, I think, because the reason the Commanders made it that far was because they were the team coming back into full health, and they were hitting their stride.
Mm-hmm.
And they were hitting these teams that were like they had peaked earlier, and so their injuries were still hitting. They weren't quite at full momentum, and the Commanders were rolling through.
Yep.
The Eagles just happened to be a better team, and they showed that they were a better team. They got 5 fucking points on them.
Yeah. I mean,
that was a college score.
Yeah, it was a dominant performance. But it was the same way with the Broncos Bills. It started out solid first half for the Broncos, had some mistakes, but then Buffalo quit fucking around, and that was it. But I was like, they were playing with house money. Well, I'm not surprised by that at all. They got further than they were supposed to, and that wasn't even a bad first round bounce because they weren't supposed to be there anyway. So playoff appearances
it makes
is
me
good.
wonder if the Broncos didn't make it and the Bengals had instead. Where that story could have gone. But again, it would have been against Josh Allen and the Bills, who, like the Commanders, were hitting their stride at the right time.
Yeah.
And the Bengals were still really fucking hurt. So I'm hoping next year the window is closing in Cincy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They did it in 2022? In the 2022 Super Bowl, 2021 season, they made it, and they did not. I mean, it wasn't a romp by the Rams, but they didn't hit expectations.
Yeah.
I mean, their window is closing. Joe Burrow's talent is not ebbing, but his ability is.
Yep.
He's getting older. And I mean, granted, we're talking about these people like they're, in their late 30s, but at some point the injuries do start wearing. I mean, look at Drew Brees.
Mm-hmm.
Peyton
what Manning, he was able
to do when he was in his, 6th season, and then what he was able to do when he was in his 13th.
Yeah.
He was still a great quarterback, but he wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And the same with the Bills. And it sucks when you have the AFC as stacked as it is. When you have the Chiefs, the Bengals, and the Bills. Now you've got Broncos on the come up. You
Ravens.
have the Ravens with Lamar Jackson and
Derrick Henry.
I wanted to say Dwayne Henry, and I knew that was wrong.
I always want to say Travis Henry because of the. You remember Travis Henry, the old Broncos running back that had like 23 kids with 12 different women or some shit like that?
He was insane.
He got paid pretty good one year, and I think he had to spend it all on child support.
Well, he was like Phillip Rivers, just with everyone.
Except he cussed all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of women. That Phillip Rivers' wife has never not been pregnant since she's been with him, I don't think. Like, it's just like a constant state of pregnancy for her. But
she's like the Duggars.
Well, maybe she doesn't let him cuss because she's the only one that's allowed to, because she's just fucking pregnant all the time.
Like, you're the reason for this.
Yeah. The Chargers, they lived up to Charger expectations come the end of the season. Like they were looking so good. I mean, it was like a classic Chargers situation. They looked so good. I was like, oh man, I do not want to play them in the playoffs. And CJ Stroud blew them out of the fucking water. And so, I mean, it was just, it's good to see that some things haven't changed, The Chargers are still the Chargers.
Chargers are going to Charger.
But they're going to be a real motherfucker in the regular season for a while.
They're going to keep the Broncos. I think they're going to be the Broncos' biggest enemy, and that's including the Chiefs. But
I think we're at the state now where it's just going to be a split, depending on where the game's at. That's where it's going to be for the Broncos Chiefs. We got over that hump. We beat them. Was it 2 years in a row now that we've won at least one against them?
Yeah.
So yeah, I feel like we're back to where we're gonna split games there. Like that rivalry is back, and like it was pretty dormant there for a while because the Broncos sucked. But I think that rivalry is back. And yeah, the Chargers are gonna be a real motherfucker in the regular season. And we'll see if What is the cheating scandal going to be when Harbaugh finally gets the Chargers to the Super Bowl? Like that's the big question. What's the cheating scandal going to be?
So he's gonna have to beat either at that point he's gonna either have to be beating the Chiefs or the Bills, and what's gonna happen is that Connor Stallions is gonna have legally changed his name and gotten plastic surgery, a la like James Bond villain. He has infiltrated the Bills organization as I don't know, Connor
Caballos.
Yeah, Connor Caballos. and he basically is just selling signs. You know, it's like the Astros with the trash can.
Yeah.
He's just like doing something fishy on the sidelines.
Who's the one pitcher that with the glasses for the Dodgers that like he was the one guy that was like, because they're like no retaliation against the Astros, and he's like, nah, fuck that. And what's his name? Joe Kelly. Yeah.
Jim Kelly. He was like, no, fuck that. I'm gonna hit him.
Yeah, and he did. I was like, fuck yeah, that's baseball, dude. That's baseball. I think the Broncos that was a pleasant surprise. The Bengals continuing disappointment.
I want to say the Bills, but I mean they really didn't disappoint. It's when you have a number one team playing the number one team.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and he's just he has not figured out how to be the last guy with the ball, and that's what it's always come down to with those two, like, and especially in the playoffs. It's just Mahomes has the ball last, and he makes it work. What are you gonna do, man? Hold on to the ball longer. I guess that's the only advice I can give him at this point, because you've done everything else right. And so that's the only thing you can do is just make sure that as time expires, you have the ball ahead. Yeah, it sounds
to beat the Chiefs.
Yep. Yeah, because if you give them even 12 seconds, as we found out. Yeah.
I mean, it's insane that they are the reason, like the Chiefs and the Bills are the reason for multiple, I think, rule changes.
Yeah.
The overtime with how balls, like with how the reviewing process goes.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible to like be able to witness. I don't think there's ever been a time in like NFL history where the best teams have been so close.
Yeah, there's a lot of parity.
And it's not just like, oh well, this year the Bengals won it, but next, like, it is like to like the point where at the start of the season, the predicted records for every single AFC like contender, the Bills, Bengals, Chiefs, even the Texans, are up there in double-digit wins.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have teams like the Chargers and the Broncos making strong pushes and making the playoffs, cutting out other strong teams like the Colts, like the Bengals, and putting the onus back at the Ravens. When we had a season where we've had this 4 strongest teams in the NFL, 5 if you count the Eagles, but all of them be from each different conference.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the Bills, you got the Ravens, you've got the Chiefs, and then you've got the Texans.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there and you're like, oh, who's going to win this game? I don't know. The Bills are down by 3 with 30 seconds left. They move the ball all game. All of a sudden, they can't.
Mm.
They had some shit calls go the wrong way. Some very bad spot calls. And then you have teams like the Commanders who dominate during the regular season and are a very complete team, beat the arguable best team in the league, consensus with the Lions, get blown out by Philly. I mean, you look at, who was the best team at the end of week 18? It wasn't the Chiefs.
Nope.
Wasn't the Eagles. But who are the two best teams in the league? It's the Chiefs and it is the Eagles.
Yep.
And they don't have to try, which is insane. They could get blown out during the regular season by the Broncos, by the Bills. All they care about is making sure they're in the postseason.
Yep.
I don't think winning the division is a big deal to them at this point. They just need to make it to the postseason. That's all they care about.
Yeah. It was an interesting season. Then there's the typical just franchises that shouldn't exist. The Jaguars, the Browns, the Panthers. Honestly, the Raiders at this point, they're not even a good rivalry anymore.
I hate the Browns, and I hate what they did to the team.
Mm-hmm.
They had Myles Garrett, who they're now getting rid of.
Yeah.
Speaking of Myles Garrett, a great spot for Myles Garrett to go, I think, would be the Bills. Could you imagine Myles Garrett with a Von Miller? Like that combo?
Yeah.
Insane.
That would be.
You got rid of Baker Mayfield, who went and had a great season at Tampa Bay again, making the playoffs.
Yep.
The parity is a lot more like college, and we haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
For a while, it was, it'll be the Chiefs, and it will be the Eagles or the 49ers. It'll be the Patriots, and that was kind of it. But now the Chiefs aren't the only team in the AFC to beat. You have to go through the Bengals. You have to go through the Bills. You have to go through the Ravens.
Yep.
NFC, you got to go through the Buccaneers. You got to go through the Commanders.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then, even the Texans, like Stroud regressed some, but they came in the playoffs and blew the doors off the Chargers, who had been playing really good football. DeMeco Ryans is a really good coach, like a really good coach. And the way they were able to win the division was soft. So, it is, but it's a division you play in, whatever. They won it. And they did it with a lot of injuries. But that's a good team. Like, Chargers would tell you don't want to see them in the playoffs.
Why is it that the AFC and NFC South are just soft?
I don't know. It's
the capital of college football.
Mm-hmm.
And yet the NFL that's the last place you want to be.
Like Miami is always like a video game team until the weather gets cold and they just like fall apart. Or they have to go like win in the trenches, and they like if they're not like doing these like shifty cool like new age offense gadget plays, they have to like play a hard defensive game, they just like wilt. I don't it's so weird.
Well, and it's very interesting because it makes me wonder like how much play calling should Mike McDaniels actually have?
Yeah.
How much of that responsibility should he have? Because if they cannot, if their only, strength is gimmicks, you need to be able to have those fundamentals. You need to be able to win the trenches, both on offense and defense. You got to be able to run the fucking ball.
And same thing goes for Sean Payton. Like, come on, man. Like, let somebody else call the plays, because how many of those fucking games was it just him getting too fucking cute and getting quick 3-and-outs when we're up in the second half, and you're just like, come on, run the fucking ball. Like that Estime kid has been he had the fumble issue early in the season, but then he came back and he's been nothing but solid. Like he was averaging like 6 yards a carry. Run the fucking ball, man. When you're second half and you're up, just run the ball. It's like, I don't know. It's amazing how many times like a bunch of dumb jackasses like ourselves will be screaming at the TVs, run the ball. And then you go look at Dan Campbell and the Lions when they're up 10 points at half. And what do? They just run. I mean,
you look at the Lions, they built it so that they had the ability. I mean, you've got David Montgomery and then you have
Jahmyr Gibbs.
You have this running back duo, and then you supplement it, and you have this ability to run out the half.
Yeah.
Make sure the other team touches the ball once.
Yeah, you keep your receivers happy in the first half, and you go light it up, and then you come back out and you just control the clock and take their soul from them. And that's the whole point of once you get up is just it's just relentless. You're like, it doesn't have to be pretty at this point. Fucking stop me. And now like they're, Sean Payton's got his cool new little toy that he's got to go play with. And like, why don't you teach him the basics of the game? Just like, hey, we don't need you to do anything special right now except turn around and hand it to that guy. Until they stop us, then you can throw the ball. But until they stop us, we're just running it down their throat. And it was, I don't know, especially towards the second half of the season. And maybe he just knew that, like, he's like, we can't, like, maybe we'll get a playoff spot, but we're just, maybe it kind of did feel like maybe they were, Sean Payton just like knew he was playing with house money for the second half of the season.
He was like, hey, look, we are in a position, we've already won. They were above 5 wins at the half.
Yeah.
So he was like, all right, we've hit our mark. If we make it, we make it, but let's try and see what works and what doesn't. And I think that was necessary. I think next year we're going to have a Bo Nix that's better prepared because they didn't throw out all the stops.
Right.
They were able to fuck around. They were able to figure stuff out. CJ Stroud struggled in his second season because they threw out all the stops. They went all in on that on his rookie season because that's how well he was playing. Bo Nix was playing well enough, and the rest of the team was playing well enough that we were able to be like, okay, so this works. We know that. So let's try something else. Let's see what we can do with using these kinds of plays. Where does Bo Nix struggle? How can we get him past that hump? All right, we got him there. Now what's our next step? And we were good enough to be doing that and also winning games.
Yeah.
And also be making it to the playoffs. We were, I think, lucky in terms of our positioning, and also the fact that Bo Nix was as accomplished as people thought he could be.
Right. But also, like, it's also a little bit frustrating too, because you're like, there's a couple of those games where, especially on the coaching side, if you just clean some shit up a little bit, you're actually kind of competing for the division at that point, and you're just like, that's also pretty fucking cool. So I either way, I'm happy with it. I think it's good to be at a point where we're saying, oh man, if just a little bit, we could have been even better. Like that's not a delusional thought. Like there was the cup legit, probably 3 games there towards on down the stretch where you're like, you're up at half, just run the ball, man. Just run the ball. And yeah. So, but maybe it was just Sean Payton knew, like, now we're not getting out of the first round of the playoffs if we make it to the playoffs. So let's have a little, let's tinker around a little bit, see what this kid can actually do. And I don't know. And to be fair, like, he was hitting his stride down the stretch and ran into a buzzsaw in Buffalo, and it is what it is. Is for it's hard to complain about it for a rookie year.
Yeah, and especially in terms of where we were supposed to be, we overperformed, and we saw a marked improvement in how the rest of the team played. I mean, we've had a good quarterback. I mean, Russell Wilson on paper will be one of the best quarterbacks in history, simply because he is a stat master.
Yep,
he's consistent. He is safe, and except for in the Super Bowl when he wants, all the glory, he doesn't make stupid mistakes.
Yeah.
He makes idiotic mistakes, but not stupid mistakes. He makes mistakes trying to do something, not because he didn't know what to do. We saw Bo Nix hit all of that. He was able to kind of hit these different metrics, and the team hit them with him. We watched him figure out how to support their quarterback and how to work with him. Russell Wilson came in and demanded they do this.
Yeah.
And I think it was great because the Broncos this year really managed to form a solid foundation for the next few 5, 6, 7 seasons with our current team.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Drew Brees and Sean Payton managed to have like a 10-year plus
Something like that, yeah.
Together and had a lot of success with the Saints. I think we are going to see the same thing happen in Denver.
Yeah. Well, and we'll see how it goes, but I'm very cautiously optimistic for the Broncos at this point. It feels good to be disappointed in the playoffs again. You know, like that's a huge step forward instead of just, you know, being disappointed by week 6, knowing that you're just out of it. Yeah, then other than that, I didn't have a ton of like anything that really stuck out for me otherwise in the NFL. There are a few I'd have to go back and look at some of the fantasy football stats to see, you know, individual players, but I mean, honestly, you got Saquon, who was 100 yards or so shy of the all-time record.
Yeah, I mean, we watched like in college football, that's Chenti and then Saquon.
Yeah,
and we had 2,000-yard rushers
for
the first time ever because Derrick Henry eclipsed it during the playoffs.
Right. Yeah, like Derrick,
including college, there were 3 running backs who went over 2,000 yards rushing.
I know running backs are back in a big way.
What? Like, and that's still dealing with all the air raid offense, and that's like the pass heavy, the improvisation that they want from these quarterbacks. They're still able to do that.
I know, it's wild.
Huge fan.
Yeah, it's funny. You didn't see the big scores really this year. Like you saw a few kind of down the stretch when people were hurt. But for the most part, you saw more like, you know, like the 23-17 type games kind of consistently across the board. Just not super low scoring, but not very high. Like and you had guys like Mahomes that are not putting up just massive numbers this year, but he didn't have to. Had one of the best defenses in the league, so we didn't have to. And I don't know, they got a great coaching staff over there. Like Andy Reid's clearly one of the greatest of all times. Steve Spagnuolo is a great defensive play caller. You know that, so they got shit going for them. As much as I like to dabble in the whole scripted Chiefs metaverse type deal, conspiracy. Like that's always fun to dabble in, but they also do just have a really fucking good team.
Yeah.
There's also that. Same thing with Brady Belichick. You know, you can talk about Deflategate and Spygate and all the other shit, and you're like, but also it was still Tom Brady and Bill fucking Belichick, with Gronk, with Wes Welker, with Julian Edelman. You know, like it still was a really fucking good team. Mike Vrabel, you know, it was still they had guys. It wasn't just like, oh, the NFL wants you to win and that's it. There's probably some of that goes on for sure. But yeah, it's still everybody knew kind of at the beginning of the year that the Chiefs were going to be back in the Super Bowl. I mean, they're early season favorite.
Yeah, I mean, barring, you know, an incredible season from Lamar Jackson and
so who's it worse to be? Who is it worse to be to not get over the hump, Lamar or Josh Allen? Because it's almost worse to be Josh Allen because he still does everything. Like he never doesn't perform in those games and comes up short, and Lamar falls apart.
I'd say it's probably worse to be Josh. Lamar has gotten accolades.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's had 2 MVPs.
Yeah.
You know, he just couldn't hit the Chiefs, which is understandable.
Yeah.
Josh Allen has been bounced 4 to 5 times in the past 5 years by the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
The one year he wasn't, it was by the Super Bowl bound Bengals.
Yep.
The best Bengals team that we've seen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's definitely worse to be Josh Allen. It's also worse because he's with Buffalo.
Yeah.
Making the Super Bowl 4 years in a row and losing each time.
Yep.
I can't decide which is worse. Not making it to the Super Bowl ever, despite being the second best team in the league. If they were playing the NFC, the Bills would be in the Super Bowl right now.
Yeah.
But they're not. And so will they make it? Or will they have to wait until, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes get swallowed back up into the hell to which they came? Who knows? I think
when Andy Reid finally eats Patrick Mahomes, then the dynasty will be over.
That's when it's over.
When Andy Reid's eating Mahomes burn-ins.
It's not over until the fat lady sings. It's not over until the fat man eats.
Well, Andy ate her quarterback. We better go find a new one.
I guess we can wait. I think it is, but that does beg the question of
Cannibal Ruski.
Fumbarooski. I don't know if that's worse than wear a diaper from Dan Campbell or the meatball from Vince Fangio.
Yeah.
Fumbarooski, wear a diaper.
Yeah.
But it makes me wonder, what moves can Baltimore make? What moves can the Bills make that will put them in a position to be the team to beat? I think Myles Garrett is a big piece, and I think he fits in well in both the Bills defense and the Ravens defense. But I can also see the Browns not wanting to trade him there because they don't want to trade him to the AFC, despite them not having the ability to contend until Deshaun Watson is dead. Because they are now atoning for his crimes. It's like a self-sabotage. Yeah. Oh, we have a great defensive line. We have a great defensive superstar. Oh, we've got a great quarterback who's led us to the first playoff win in so many years. Well, fuck them. I like this pedophile, or not pedophile, this pervert. Sorry, I'm sorry. I don't want to be rude to Deshaun Watson. He's not a pedophile. He's a pervert.
Well, he's not in. He's not on his own now. We got Justin Tucker in the mix now too.
Gotta love that.
That's a wrong position to be.
Massages.
Yeah,
I'm sorry. I've had a massage. You know how it is. You have to work to make that happen. You have to actively be making that choice.
Yeah. It's a weird one. And kicker is not the position to be that guy because you are very replaceable. Even as an all-time great, you get very little leash as a kicker. So, and as far as kickers goes, Justin Tucker probably had about as long of a leash as there was because he was reliable, best kicker in the league for years, but. Yeah, I bet that doesn't go well for you if there's any, truth to the accusations. I bet you John Harbaugh will be just fine to get on down the road, buddy. I can find me another kicker.
I believe it.
Yeah,
weird. I also don't think Harbaugh has a lot of tolerance for that. You don't hear a lot after, coming out of the Ravens camp with shit like that.
No, Harbaugh runs a pretty tight ship.
If that's how Justin Tucker is going to end up being, I think that they just ship him out. He's not been great this season.
No, it was his worst season ever.
He's kind of been on a little decline the past couple of seasons.
Yep.
And that's not saying much. I think kickers as a whole have been worse.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. The first part of the season, it seemed like every week there was a game or two that was won off of a 60-yarder. So
Yeah,
And
well,
but then they started missing a lot.
It was lost because the other team missed a 30-yarder.
Mm.
And so it's like, yeah, well, we've got some really great things happening, but we also are missing kicks left and right. Missing extra.
Or a lot of blocked kicks this year too. A lot of blocked kicks.
Well, the whole how we lost to the Chiefs the first time, that will never sit well. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, like, you don't believe in the scripted, NFL theory, neither do I, but the way that played out, it kind of
felt like God was mad at us for some reason.
Like, what kind of lineman lines up like that? Flat-footed, sitting on his heels. He was in a squat. There was no way that they were going to break through.
Yeah.
Maybe some fat guy in the stands snuck onto the field and accidentally got put in the game. He didn't know what he was doing, but there's no excuse.
Was he lined up against Garrett Bowles? Because Garrett Bowles has those just like he's a very solid left tackle, but he has the moments where he just like his brain malfunctions, and it's not a real good brain to start with.
No. Like,
he's pretty dumb.
The muscle memory isn't engaged. It's not doing anything. There's nothing going on. He's like a horse.
He's a street kid turned Mormon athlete. He's not real smart. Like he's a late conversion Mormon that you don't see a whole lot of those. Like there's a later in life conversion to Mormonism. It's usually pretty young, but also, yeah, he's not smart. Just listen to that guy talk. He is not smart. But he's very athletic, very big, and very, very territorial. He's like a good dumb guard dog. Yeah. Not smart.
He is good, and he won't let anything through unless you throw a mistake.
Yeah, pretty much. I'm curious to see where the Broncos go draft wise. Sean Payton has a pretty solid track record of picking good offensive linemen in the draft. And that's not a sexy pick, but for a football guy, it gets me hard when they go out and get good big fellas, like that. Like your offensive linemen, and it's starting to be that way where it's like your quarterbacks are the highest paid, but it's left tackle, right tackle are coming up there. You got to pay for that shit nowadays. Edge rushers, same way. Like,
well, that's why Myles Garrett would be a great fit. He'd be a good fit in Denver too.
Oh, fuck yeah, he would.
I just don't see that happening. I
don't either.
I think we're gonna probably end up going to draft because I think Sean Payton knows that he doesn't have to have this win now mentality we've been plagued with. I think John Elway kind of pushed, and the rest of the front office pushed this we have to win now with the Broncos, which is why we were drafting these quarterbacks high that didn't need to be drafted high and needed time to develop, and trying to push ourselves this way.
Well, they started with the win now mentality with Peyton Manning, which was the right approach. Because you're like, all right, this guy's got a broken neck. It's super glued back together, and
duct tape and some screws.
So we've got a limited window, but this is one of the greatest of all time. So let's win now. And so that was the right mentality. But once he's out of the picture, that went out the window. Like, okay, if we win now, that's awesome. We're used to it. So of course we're gonna love it. But nobody was disappointed when we didn't make the playoffs after losing Brock Osweiler and Peyton Manning. Like, nobody was disappointed. We're like, well, I don't know. It's rebuild, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we've got a year. Let's get everybody healthy, and then 2015 rolls around, and we win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And I think it's a lack of patience. I think that kind of pushed us out of the picture for so long.
Yeah.
Trying to do too much with too little and not being smart with it.
Yeah,
I would like to see the Broncos maybe. I think our window is going to be open in like a couple years. I think so. If we make it, great. But I think our actual window with Bo Nix and with our current roster is going to be in a couple years. And we do have some good wide receiver talent in the draft. We have some good defensive edge rusher talent in the draft. And I think if we draft smart, we can really build a solid core.
What's
in the trenches?
What's the story on Sutton?
Portland?
Contract-wise, yeah.
I'm not sure when his contract's up, but I know it's within the next couple years. It's
okay. Because while I like him, if he's going to cost a ton of money, like let that guy walk, go draft.
Yeah. Let's see. I don't know if it'll tell me his current contract.
I don't know. But either way, he's it'd be fine if he stayed around, but it depends on the price tag, like, cause he's been inconsistent at best. He had a good season this year, but yeah, I don't know. Never mind. Courtland Sutton is gone.
What?
Yeah, the Rams got him.
When?
This was from the 3rd, so yesterday.
Okay, well, ESPN doesn't have that open.
So this is on...
Wait.
This is SI.com.
Buffalo Bills land star Broncos wide receiver in major trade. Okay, no, that's a prediction. That was Sports Illustrated saying that he went to Buffalo or was predicted to go to Buffalo.
So this didn't happen. This is a
fake. He's still a Bronco.
But I'm going to put this on the screen because this is horse shit here. The headline: Rams acquire 1,000-yard wide receiver in blockbuster projected trade proposal. Okay.
Yeah, so they just did the same thing with the Bills.
Huh.
The Bills are predicted to land Broncos star receiver Courtland Sutton in blockbuster trade.
I wouldn't be that excited if I was Josh Allen. Amari Cooper was a better option than Courtland Sutton. Sutton's I've got nothing against him, but it's just he's not the best option out there. Like he's fine. He's like if you put him in baseball starting roster, he's a 4, possibly 5 starter. Like he's fine. He's solid, but I don't know. You don't roll him out on opening day.
No. However, I think I don't know. To be honest, I think he's a little bit more of like a
veteran presence.
Yeah. Kind of like
I think so. And he's also been coming on the last couple of years too, which I think bodes well in his favor, which means like I won't be like I'd be happy to have him stick around, but like he doesn't deserve the big payday, but he's been here his whole career, so I think there is some sort of like Homer respect, like pay your guys. I'm a big fan of that, and he's one of our guys. Like I said, he's not my favorite Bronco receiver by any means, but I don't dislike him. I've been mildly disappointed up until the last couple of years. Well, like not mildly, pretty severely disappointed up until the last couple of years.
He was overshadowed
by shitty quarterbacks.
Because of shitty quarterbacks, but he was overshadowed by other receivers. Jerry Jeudy, who was so Cortland Sutton looked better than he should have because Jeudy looked so bad.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I like the idea of him staying around, but not if it's gonna break the bank. He hasn't earned a huge contract, but I think he has earned a little attaboy from the team. Like just for being a kind of a company man. Got to take care of those guys.
He's been kind of the primary receiver. I mean, discounting Jeudy, but Tim Patrick just has not been able to was not able to stay healthy as a Bronco.
Right. Well, and then he hasn't done he had almost no impact at Detroit either. So
no, and that's unfortunate. I really like Tim Patrick. I think
I did too. Yeah, it was I don't know. It was another one where just injuries got to him early and often.
I think because of Emmanuel Sanders' success. Before we let him go, I think that we expected more from Cortland Sutton because Emmanuel Sanders filled Darius Thomas's shoes and was able to be that guy. And then we had Noah Fant and Albert Bell, and we really theoretically could have done well with Drew Lock with the right coach.
I think so.
Noah Fant and Emmanuel Sanders. This was prior to Jerry Jeudy, but we traded Sanders for Jerry Jeudy.
Yeah.
Or for the pick for him, I think. And I don't know. I think we need a stronger core. Marvin Mims and Cortland Sutton are good. But we look at Arizona with Mark Harrison. He is so good. And Kyler Murray is so good, but I couldn't name a single other person on that team.
No.
In that receiving core.
James, not in the receiving core. James Conner in the backfield.
Yeah, James Conner in the backfield. But you need to be able to have
I only know that because of fantasy football, though.
Well, yeah. James Conner, I thought he was still in Pittsburgh, but yeah.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have known that if I didn't play fantasy football kind of somewhat seriously, or I try to take it, relatively seriously. So that's why I know that. But yeah, you're right. Outside of those three, I don't know who or what's going on in Arizona. I don't fucking know. That's kind of another, and I kind of want to like the Cardinals.
I think the Cardinals they missed their window with Cliff Kingsbury.
Yeah, they missed their chance with Kurt Warner.
But Kyler Murray is still good.
Kyler Murray, but he's not a winner. He's very talented. He's not a winner.
I think Kyler Murray needs to be in a dual threat backfield.
Probably.
You put him with another running quarterback like Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray in the backfield. No running back. You just have Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson.
Well, you're talking some wild shit now.
Oh yeah. This is some Madden shit. And trust me, it works. Because both of them have the arm talent. Kyler Murray, I think, might have had a better chance in baseball.
Yeah.
I think he should have stuck with baseball. He's probably getting paid more.
I don't know, man. Those baseball contracts are
success. Well, yeah, but I mean, how big was would an outfielder contract be?
Is that what Kyler Murray was?
I think he also pitched, but
I was saying because Mahomes was a pitcher first. That was his. He was a legit pitcher. I don't know what. I know Kyler Murray was projected to be a first round draft pick or didn't he get drafted in the first round?
He was drafted by the A's 9th overall in 2018.
Okay. Yeah, and
he was in high school he played shortstop and second.
Okay.
And then let's see, 2018. Yeah, they're just talking. Okay, college baseball. He batted .296 with 10 homers, 47 RBIs, and 10 stolen bases in 2018. That's when the A's took him, even though he said that, yeah, I'm going to stick with football. The A's still drafted him 9th overall.
So how's that work if he doesn't? They just lose that pick?
Yeah, it's just you burnt a pick. Hey, I'm gonna stick with football. Don't draft me. Hey, we're gonna draft you. All right, I'm not gonna play for you. Okay.
Well,
We just burnt the
as
9th
far as I
overall
know, the A's have not been known for good ownership in the past like 10 years. So
He did sign a contract with the A's that included a $4.6 million signing bonus.
okay, so he's gonna get a little. He probably did get paid more because he was number 1 overall, right?
He was drafted 2019 at first overall.
Yeah. So yeah, he
I mean,
got
I
all the
don't know. He was 5'10". He is still 5'10". And he's a faster Russell Wilson with a stronger arm. But you're 5'10". When most of your O line is 6'5" and above, it's like it really limits what you can do.
Yeah, and he's not a gamer like Baker Mayfield, because Baker Mayfield's the same type, but
yeah, he's like Baker Mayfield's like 5'11", 6 foot. But
he's a fucking winner though. That dude's a fucking winner.
He has that dog in him. He's
okay.
6'1".
So if gun to your head, would you rather have Baker or Bo Nix?
Baker.
I would too.
I'm sorry. I love Bo Nix. He can
I'm a fan of Bo Nix. He'll still go throw footballs over somewhere else, but not Vince Mountains.
Baker.
Yeah. I'm a fan of
Baker Mayfield this season. We would have made it at least to the divisional.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
If we didn't, again, that's the condition. We didn't have to play the fucking Bills.
I think we would have been I think that final game of the season would have been meaningful for both the Chiefs and the Broncos if Baker was the quarterback. Like that would have been for the division, and it would have been a different. Like we would have been the top wild card seed or the division winner. With if you say everything equal, swap Bo Nix for Baker Mayfield. Yeah, I think. I don't know if we win the division, but we for sure have a better matchup in the playoffs. First round anyway. So I think with Baker, get to the divisional, possibly the conference championship. But I wouldn't have been disappointed to lose in the division with Baker.
I do wonder about if Sean Payton would have meshed well with Baker, though.
I wonder. I don't know.
I feel we might have won in spite of Sean Payton and Baker just not being able to be on the same page because they're different types of quarterbacks. Because Baker I think Baker's a lot more like a Kurt Warner than he is a Drew Brees. I think Bo Nix is a lot like a Drew Brees. And I don't think Sean Payton would have coached Kurt Warner to win a Super Bowl.
Yeah. Fair.
Just different coaching styles and different play styles.
Yeah. I'd have to think about that one.
That's the whole, we should have drafted Josh Allen. No, we shouldn't have, because we would have ruined him. We wouldn't have Josh. It wouldn't have been the Josh Allen that we have.
Yeah, he would have been a bust.
Yeah. He would have been like the reason no one goes to Wyoming.
Yeah. So other than that, yeah, I think. All right, so early predictions for next year. Are the Broncos competing for the division? I think
Yes.
I think yes. I don't think they get it done.
I think we're going to come second in the division, though, and I think we're going to have a much more solid. I think what we're going to do is we're going to revamp the running back room.
Mm-hmm.
And by revamp, I think we're going to stick with Javonte Williams. He is good.
He's good. I think you keep Estime around, though.
I think so, too.
I think
we just had a
McLaughlin's
solid third option. And I think we have Marvin Mims, we have Troy Franklin, we have Cortland Sutton. I think maybe we talk about, boosting Vele and kind of – because Devon Vele turned out to be a very solid late draft pick.
Yeah.
And he contributed quite a bit. I think we add just a couple more depth pieces. But the big thing that we key on is just ensuring that the protection for Bo stays. And that we ensure that defensively, Pat Surtain isn't the only one in coverage. Because that's what we saw is that if we could stop them on the ground, they would just turn the air. And as long as they weren't throwing to Pat Surtain, especially at the end of the season when we were having some secondary issues like injuries, they were able to throw all over us. So I think both secondary.
Riley Cooper's he's a good player though.
Riley Moss.
Riley Moss, yeah. Riley Moss.
He's a good player. He got hurt and was it just sucked because he was playing at 50%.
Well, and as fellow white boys, we always got to root for a white cornerback.
I'm a big fan of white corners. In elementary school and recess in a NFL street, recess football, I was a pretty damn good corner.
Yeah, and it's
pro if it wasn't for my bum knee.
It's just the rule of the white boys. It has nothing to do with racial tensions or whatever. But just like we know, we are not.
How hard it is.
That is not our position. And when we see a white boy. When we see a white boy out there dealing at cornerback, like we gotta respect. It doesn't even matter if that's not our team. And you're just like, all right, I see you, white boy. I see you. You're the only one out there. We see you.
It's like when what's his face? Was it Grayson? Grayson Allen way back. No, Doug. Whatever at Creighton. White boy with all the threes way back then, like 10 years ago.
I'm not I remember Grayson Allen because I'm a perennial Duke hater.
Yeah.
I feel the same way about Duke as I do the French. I hate them and I don't have a real good reason for why, but I don't need one.
That's the good enough reason for why.
Right.
No, I want to say Doug Dimmadome, and I know that's not it. But
you could have said that and I would have believed you.
Someone's gonna know. Doug Dimmadome is from some cartoon. Someone who's gonna know who I'm talking about, but he was just this white boy who hit threes, and that was his whole thing. And he didn't make it the NBA, but all he did was that.
So he was just a more white Steph Curry.
Oh, a full white Steph Curry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, Steph Curry is pretty fucking white.
But even whiter.
I know. So yeah, so just more white. Yeah. What did you think of the Luka trade? I saw it was a big deal. I know Luka's is a stud. I've not seen him play a single. I've never even watched one of his clips, but I am aware that he's a good player that doesn't play defense, or like he scores a lot of points but doesn't play defense. I listen to enough sports stuff outside of out of this to know that, but I don't follow basketball.
Yeah, so he used to play defense.
Okay.
His all-around game is good. He's just kind of gotten lazy. And so Luka. Okay, so it's like this is going to be hard to liken to football. You've got an all-time talent in Luka. Luka Doncic. No one plays like him. He is phenomenal.
It was Von Miller before he got his shit together.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we
I
can
got
say
you.
that. Or he is Luca is he's like Josh Allen.
Okay.
He is one of the best in the league at what he does.
Mm.
And they traded Luca for Kyler Murray. Josh Allen, top 2 quarterback. Kyler Murray,
Yeah.
top 10 quarterback. Anthony Davis is a very good player, but he's, like maybe Kyler's the wrong example. Give me another. I need an old, but Matthew Stafford. There we go.
Okay.
Matthew Stafford. All right. He's good. He's been good. But you just traded one of the best players in the league. Like
Mhm.
who wants to be on your team for a guy who's good, but is maybe older and not quite as good as he used to be. And definitely not as good as the guy you just traded.
Mm.
And it also means Luka was coasting, but at the same time, he fully expected to stay with the Mavs.
Yeah.
But
didn't he lose a bunch of money too?
I don't know.
I saw something like I can't remember what the number was, but
in terms of his contract, yeah. So he's eligible for a supermax contract. I think it was $364 million with the Mavs this summer. Now I think the max he can get with LA this summer is going to be $220 million, around there.
And he went from a state with no income tax to the highest state income tax.
Yeah, and so it wasn't like it was his choice. It
was a trade.
Yeah, and it wasn't like he requested to be let go. He wanted to play his entire career in Dallas. And so I think from that perspective, it sucks, but also he was not playing up to his potential. His condition. I mean, you look at him.
Didn't they get blown out in the finals too?
I don't know I don't remember.
I don't remember. I know they lost in the finals though, didn't they?
I think so. I might be wrong. I know Dirk Nowitzki lost in the finals before he made it back and won. That was a long time ago.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know. It's
or basketball.
Yeah, I haven't followed basketball since really Jordan. My buddies in college followed a little bit that back when like Boykins and Melo and I mean the Nuggets were kind of good, but basketball's never been my game. But I saw that was a big headline. It seemed like they kind of did him dirty, particularly on the contract side of things, where he got properly fucked. It sounded like. And I mean, it's hard to feel bad, when they're still making tens of millions of dollars. But still, like if that's what they're getting paid, that's what they're getting paid. I ain't gonna shame a man for taking a $40 million paycheck when somebody's willing to pay him for it. Like I'm not gonna shame anybody for it, but it's also a little bit hard to feel bad for him at that level of money. That being said, he got properly fucked because they not only did it screwed how much he could possibly make. He's also going to California from Texas, where he wasn't paying any income tax, to now it's like 13%. I think is the top tax rate, which was exactly where he'll be with the amount of money he's making. So, yeah, and taxation, in my view, is theft. Logically, every other way you can think about it, it really is. But yeah, he's. I mean, again, also he's fine. He'll be fine. He'll be okay.
I think the biggest thing is that he went from like being the guy in Dallas,
and
I'm sorry, LeBron James is going to be the guy
until he's done.
Not because LeBron James is no longer the best player in the NBA.
But he's also one of the
he
best
might
coaches.
be the greatest basketball player in the NBA.
Yeah.
He's like Tom Brady with that insane ability just to have the knowledge. I mean, people love to talk about how LeBron James and Michael Jordan aren't the same, but they so very much are, with this ability to understand the flow of basketball, and I think it's going to be tough for Luka to adjust. But like I talked about with you earlier, it might be like a Kobe. LeBron
Shaq
has
deal.
that kind of Kobe ability to bring his teammates up and make his teammates want to be better. So, it'd be interesting to see if he can kind of turn Luka around a little bit and put him on the right course. The Lakers are gearing up to try to make a run on it, but a final run at a crown before LeBron retires.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. The Lakers are, I mean, if the NBA's a scripted game, it's always going to be rigged towards the Lakers. I mean, that's I don't know, for whatever reason, the Knicks just can't ever get it together enough.
No, they never will. They're always going to be. They're going to be like the Cardinals or the Bengals. They're always going to have some really, really great talent and really, really great ability, but they're not going to ever be able to put the final piece of the puzzle together.
And it'd be fun if they could, because like the New York's a great market for a championship basketball team, but it's one of those, like, I don't see it happening. It'd be good for basketball if they did. I mean, it'd be really fucking good for basketball.
Although I kind of like keeping it Mile High City.
I'm fine with that too.
I like the Nuggets being good, and I think that the Nuggets are kind of we're kind of hitting the tail end of our current window. So if we want to keep it up, we have to make some moves that more than we were. But I think we have a chance to win another title.
I mean,
we're
you got
still
the Joker.
Same with the Avs, but the Avs just got rid of Miko, and my brother was like, "Hey, they do this because they can't afford to have all this star power." But I don't know. The team that won the Stanley Cup is like 8 people left of that team.
Yeah. I don't know. It's
Nuggets. But maybe the Broncos will have it next, and we'll be talking about how the Broncos need to reload.
Well, when the Broncos are good, Denver will pretty quickly forget about the other sports. Like Denver's a Bronco town.
It's still a football town.
They get up for baseball when we're good, but let's face it, the Rockies ain't going to be good for a while. And the Broncos came first. They'll always be first. And when they're good, that's what Denver Broncos country is paying attention to. So
it's interesting. I mean, we are a sports town. I mean, in the past 10 years, we have won. If we in the past 2 decades, since 2010, we have won MLS with the Rapids. We won the Super Bowl, the Broncos. We won the Stanley Cup with the Avs, and we won the NBA Finals.
Yeah.
I might be missing some others that like Denver has won, and then that we talk but it's a sports town. It's not just football, but football is number one.
They're like it's like the west of the Mississippi version of Pittsburgh. Like Pittsburgh really gets up for the Penguins and the Steelers. They like the Pirates, but the Pirates aren't ever very good either. And so it's the same way. Like Denver loves the Avs. They love. The Broncos are number one. Steelers are number one for Pittsburgh. That's pretty clear. But I would say the Avs are the kind of the second, because they were the only other team that had won a championship, up until the Nuggets here a couple of years ago. So they got the favorite spot. So I think the Denver,
you can't count the Rapids because soccer
Well, I mean,
it's always going to have a market, but it's dwindling, which is really weird. It kind of hit a surge, and now it's kind of dropping back down.
It's one of those sports that just like it's cool, but like I don't know.
I think if you didn't grow up playing it, and it wasn't like a central part of like how you were raised, it's not easy to get into.
I think that's probably right. Where I don't know, like baseball and football are like you're almost weird if you don't play them growing up. It's I don't know. It's kind of strange. There's a bunch of sports like that, and it just depends on where you grew up. And in the U.S. it's football and baseball. That's kind of basketball is huge too, but the kind of the two mainstays of American society have been football and baseball. And then next week I think we're gonna do a spring break preview, Hall of Fame recap, and just go balls in on baseball. I'm so stoked for opening day.
It is going to be fun.
Yeah. I mean, last year was a great baseball season too. Like we were talking about college football, like Major League Baseball was fun as fuck this year. The National League West race at the end, like where the Diamondbacks just kind of shot themselves in the foot right there at the end, and the Padres had this pretty awesome run, and then the Dodgers. Just when you think like they can't possibly get better, they do. They just get everybody. Like they were interviewing Bud Black the other day. So I was on a group chat with a bunch of other coaches, and they said the Dodgers got this guy, and I said, really? Did you need another one? Did you need another one?
No, they don't.
No,
they've got like because the Dodgers are the Lakers. I mean, it's LA.
Yep.
I mean, it is. I'd say the Dodgers are more of a dynastic team right now than the Yankees. And
by a long shot, the Yankees didn't even go get Soto.
No, they couldn't keep Soto.
Yeah,
Soto went to the Mets.
Yeah,
but it's so interesting because we want. We see this parity in the NFL. We see this parity in college football, even, going into the NBA. Mm-hmm. From what I understand, there's been a lot more parity this year and in the NHL. Mm-hmm. But then baseball is where you really see this disparity.
Yeah.
There is a huge gap between the best team in the NL West and the best team in the NL East.
Oh, yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's not even, oh, well, they're like a couple players away from competing. No, the Dodgers are the best team in the National League. There is very few that could even come close to disputing that. Then you have in the AL, you have, the Astros, who are somehow perennially like the best.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Braves. It's like looking in a funhouse mirror trying to figure out who's going to top the AL. But NL, you can place a bet and almost be 100% sure that it will be.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be good if you bet on the Dodgers.
Well, and like that's just a solid bet to win, to repeat. I mean, it's beyond a video game lineup at this point. It's like if you merged three really awesome baseball video games and then somehow managed to create a super team on there. I mean, it's fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and now like they can get hurt and still put up another all-star.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their backup is all-star caliber. I mean, in the infield right now, I don't know if this is accurate to what's coming in spring training in this coming season, but for the Dodgers, they've got Mookie Betts at shortstop, Freddie Freeman at first, Hyesung Kim at second, Max Muncy at third, and then they've got Miguel Rojas, who used to be a top 5 shortstop.
Yeah,
as a backup shortstop. And then they've got Michael Conforto, Tommy Edman, Teoscar Hernandez, James Outman, Andy Pages, and Chris Taylor in the outfield. Then you've got fucking Shohei Ohtani at DH.
Mm-hmm.
Their pitching lineup is insane. I can't even. I'll go through, but we've got Tyler Glasnow, Tony Gonsolin, Michael Kopech, Dustin May, Bobby Miller. I mean, these guys were the top guys for their teams.
Yeah.
And now they're just another name on
the Dodgers.
Empire.
Yep.
Someone's going to have to kill Shohei. I'm sorry. But he's like the Darth Vader. He went to the –
He kind of is.
He went from the light side to the dark side. Someone's going to have to kill him.
I know it.
Kirby Yates. Every name on this list would be a name that would make Rockies fans be like, oh my gosh, we might have a chance at not being last in the division.
Mm-hmm. I know. Like any one of their starting lineup is better than our best pitcher.
Yeah. I'd take Blake Trinan as a starting pitcher, even though he's 36. I put him in a starting role for the Rockies, and we might win 70 games.
Yeah.
Not going to say we're going to have a winning season, but we might win 70.
You could bring him out of the bullpen and make him a starter, and he's still better than Kyle Friedland.
It's insane. I mean, the depth here with like Kyle Hurton, Brusdar Graterol, Evan Phillips, Bobby Miller's like the youth like combined. Like there's so much experience. Like I don't know how if they don't win 120 games, I don't know if it's ever going to be possible. But this might be the team that wins 120 games.
Yeah, because the all-time record's 115 with the Mariners.
And they win the World Series.
Yeah, they didn't make it out of the first round, did they?
No.
Yeah.
They're one of the winniest programs in history. And they've never won a World Series.
By record.
They have one of the best winning percentages in baseball. And they've never won a World Series.
That's wild.
That's hard.
Have they? They haven't ever made it to the World Series, have they?
I don't know. I don't
think they have.
Yes.
I don't think they did.
They have never been to one. The Mariners have the record for the best record in baseball ever, but they have never made it to the World Series.
They're still not as good of a franchise as the Rockies.
Yeah, the Rockies have made it to a World Series.
Yeah, the Rockies are a better overall franchise than the Seattle Mariners.
If that's
here first.
Yes, we are.
You know what? I was just telling you, you gotta find some optimism somewhere. And you know what? Seattle Mariners, pretty good franchise. Not as good as the Rockies. So yeah.
Yep.
Better owners probably, just not as good of a franchise. Our owners suck. We're got a great franchise with terrible owners.
Yeah.
Oh well, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? But all right, well, happy Super Bowl week. It's kind of the other unofficial American holiday, so enjoy that. Fuck the Chiefs.
Fuck the Chiefs.
Go Eagles, I guess. Kind of pains me to say it, but I don't know, whatever. Yeah, fuck the Chiefs mostly. So, other than that, move your ass. We're burning daylight.